Today on Investigate TV Plus Weekend, getting a heart restart, we investigate the availability of life-saving technology for student athletes.
I was trying to go heart, but I was so weak that I couldn't pick my hand off the ground to say that. And then eventually I just rolled over.
And a family advocates for that same medical device in nursing homes after the death of their loved one.
He would have had a chance. I believe he would have had a chance, at least give him a chance.
Plus, parents warn of early signs of CTE after their son's death.
You're talking about an 18-year-old kid that inside his mind is already starting to be in the 70s and 80s.
Investigate TV Plus Weekend starts right now. Hello and welcome to Investigate TV Plus Weekend. I'm Lee Zurich. According to the National Institutes for Health, cardiac arrest is the top cause of death among young athletes in the U.S. But our team found a big problem. Not every school has an AED or automated external defibrillator to help save lives. Reporter Rachel DePompa looks into state laws, existing regulations, and why Congress is pushing for more money to get AEDs in every school.
A deputy racing down the track after 17-year-old senior Ansel Laureano crosses the finish line and collapses at practice.
You get the breast, I'll get the chest, okay?
Continue with compression. Press.
The AED already hooked up, about to deliver a second shock.
Come on, buddy!
The deputy performing CPR.
Yes, come on! Come on, Ansel. Come on!
Compression.
Come on, buddy! You are there!
Can you compression, please?
Actions that saved Ansel's life and countless others across the nation. There's Linton Beck in Tennessee, a cross-country runner.
You got a perfectly healthy son, and then he's on the floor with no heartbeat.
And number 81, Nathan Higuera in Arizona. He collapsed during summer football practice.
I could not be here right now, you know.
Although these events are rare, sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death in student athletes. According to a study cited by the National Institutes of Health, the survival rate for high school student athletes with sudden cardiac arrest is 68%. If an automated external defibrillator is used, that survival rate jumps to 80%.
But not every school in the country has one of these, an AED. This quickly shocks the heart back into rhythm. And let me show you what we found. As of September, only 16 states in the District of Columbia have laws that require AEDs in every school, from elementary to high school.
Begin CPR.
There are some states, like Hawaii, that require AEDs at sporting events only. Meanwhile, Florida requires them at games, workouts, and practices at high schools governed by the Athletic Association. And Colorado law encourages AEDs in schools, but doesn't require them.
It's just quite shocking to me that schools don't know about it, don't think about it, and most importantly, aren't prepared about it.
Despite Michigan not having a law at the time, Alex Bowerson's high school just happened to be prepared.
I don't know how many of these little farm town schools would actually have AEDs. And I got very lucky that there was an AED that was ready to go and shocked me and saved my life.
He was on a jog through the hallways, warming up for wrestling practice, when he started feeling a pain in his chest. He'd felt it before and thought it was normal, so he kept going. 10 seconds later, he was on the ground.
I was trying to pick up my hand and go like this and say heart to my teammates, and because he was standing right there asking if I was okay. And I was trying to go heart, but I was so weak that I couldn't pick my hand off the ground to say that. And then eventually I just rolled over and faded to black.
The nearby cheerleading coach jumped into action, performing CPR. After 2 minutes, he was blue.
Stopped breathing entirely, lost a pulse entirely. But by that time, she already had an AED on me.
Alex says the AED was at the end of its life cycle and only had 11% battery left. But that one shock brought him back to life. It brought him to his Catholic faith.
It's incredible I survived, and it's honestly a blessing.
Shock delivered.
The biggest thing we teach is as soon as you can get your hands on the AED, you get it onto the patient and you deploy it, because that is the game changer.
Harold Mayfield's worked with the same ambulance authority for nearly 2 decades.
We teach the public just to keep on doing compressions until help arrives.
He teaches others how to be a paramedic and how to use an AED.
Analyzing heart rhythm.
You don't need training to use this.
You do not. That's the beauty of this. You hit a button and it tells you exactly what to do. Well, AED comes in, stuns the heart for a second, and then makes the heart reset. So it's like Control-Alt-Delete, on your computer when nothing's working. That's what we're doing with the AED. It's Control-Alt-Delete, get it to restart, and hopefully it goes right back into its natural rhythm.
The American Heart Association says when it comes to cardiac arrest, time is brain function. Time means survival.
We know for every 1 minute that somebody does not have CPR performed or an AED used, their chances of survival go down by 10%. So that means you have this 10-minute window really to make a huge impact on whether or not somebody is going to survive their cardiac arrest outside of the hospital.
Lawmakers in Congress have partnered with the AHA to introduce the Access to AEDs Act, which would require the Department of Health and Human Services to award grants to schools to help them pay for AEDs, which can run anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. As for Alex, he shared his story in Michigan, which as of April 2024 now requires AEDs in every school. He's now in college, hoping to one day work in an ER and save lives.
I'd love to see a world where every school has an AED within 3 minutes of anywhere.
Because when it comes to matters of the heart, beating the clock saves lives.
The U.S. Department of Education tells us it does not have a grant program that specifically provides funds for medical equipment in schools, but it does have programs where schools have some discretion in how the funds are used. To see the full statement, go to InvestigateTV.com and search for Beating the Clock. The push for more AEDs doesn't stop in the classroom. A Missouri family is pushing state lawmakers to write legislation that would require them in nursing homes after their brother died in a facility that didn't have one. Reporter Angie Riccono has the story.
Bill Knoll was 62 years old when he died. His obituary explains his death was unexpected. Much of it focuses on what Bill loved, like Sesame Street and swimming pools. And Bill loved police scanners.
How would you describe him to
Joyful, happy. He liked everybody. Everyone liked him.
Bill was deprived of oxygen at birth, and his sister Lori believes he was also autistic.
Just because of his memory.
Bill needed care, and his final days were spent at the Village at Mission in Prairie Village. Lori visited every day. March 26th was her last visit. She found her brother slumped over in a wheelchair. He was unresponsive.
What is going on? And I went up to him and I slapped him in the face. Bill, 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 Bill. And he wasn't responding. And we got him on the floor.
A worker began performing CPR.
One CNA started to do compressions on his navel.
Lori's partner Denise says she jumped in to perform it correctly. And then the nurse left to look for the AED.
They're running. The nurse is gone. I personally am just in shock.
I couldn't find it. That was what she said.
They kept saying they couldn't find it.
I can't find it.
The nurse couldn't find it because there was no AED.
What was your reaction when you found out there was no AED?
I'm just unbelievable, furious. Especially when he had a pulse.
It's unclear if an AED would have saved Bill's life. All Lori knows is it wasn't there.
It's the what ifs, and I'm torn apart about what ifs.
Lori filed an official complaint with the state. The response acknowledges the family's concerns, but it's so clinical it doesn't even use Bill's name. It refers to him as R1. Staff had online CPR training, but no hands-on skills assessment. The rescue effort was left to unlicensed, untrained staff, which placed R1 in immediate jeopardy. It details how a staff member was unable to locate the AED.
Do not touch the patient.
AEDs are incredibly effective, especially when coupled with CPR. When you use both of those together, the likelihood of a positive outcome is much higher.
The American Heart Association points out how easy it is to use an AED.
Analyzing heart rhythm.
The machine walks a person through exactly what to do and will not deliver a shock unless it is needed.
Deliver shock now.
Anytime that you can have an AED available to you and you know how to use it, we highly encourage you to do so.
Lori is now writing lawmakers, advocating for AEDs to be required in all care facilities.
Shock delivered. Begin CPR.
She's also raising awareness for families to at least ask the question, do you have an AED?
He would have had a chance. I believe he would have had a chance, or at least give him a chance. People in facilities need a chance.
He was a different kid, and then he's gone.
Coming up, a straight-A student athlete tragically takes his own life. The early signs of his secret suffering, next. A safety alert for parents with children playing our nation's most popular sport, football. A deadly disease previously impacting NFL veterans cost a family their 18-year-old son. Reporter Stacey Cameron in Tennessee sat down with the parents who share the early warning signs of CTE. A warning, this story contains references to suicide.
From his standout senior season at Pleasant Hill High School in Missouri,
3 touchdown catches tonight for Wyatt Bramwell.
All the way back to the 3rd grade when he first strapped on a pair of shoulder pads,
He was fun to watch.
Wyatt Bramwell was a star on the football field.
So much of Wyatt's personality was that sport.
While his parents watched every hit closely,
I was always more worried about he was going to get tackled wrong and get paralyzed.
they never imagined that a hidden head injury would lead Wyatt to take his own life.
I remember just feeling so lost.
But in the moments before his death,
my head is pretty messed up and damaged.
Wyatt recorded this video explaining his pain.
The voices and demons in my head just started to take over everything I wanted to do.
And asking his parents to donate his brain to science, a request that led researchers at Boston University to discover that Wyatt suffered from advanced CTE, a degenerative brain disease most often found in deceased NFL players, not someone as young as Wyatt.
You're talking about an 18-year-old kid that inside his mind is already starting to be in the 70s and 80s.
These issues may happen earlier and with potentially fewer hits than we think.
Neurologist Dr. Michael Rippey says Wyatt's diagnosis is alarming because it's the first known case of stage 2 CTE in a high school football player. And a wider study of 152 contact sport athletes who died before age 30 found that nearly half of them, 68, had CTE. While Wyatt suffered at least one concussion.
I think it was 7th or 8th grade practice. He got hit pretty hard.
The Bramwells believe the smaller hits he took playing football for 10 years piled up, causing the disease, and Dr. Rippey agrees.
It's that just constant, hitting the head all day in practice, in games, over and over, play by play.
Looking back on Wyatt's final months alive,
he was a different kid, and then he's gone.
The Bramwells feel there were early signs of CTE they missed that may now help other parents spot the disease. For example, Wyatt was a straight A student and a loving son.
You could hug him and you would just feel purity.
But towards his death, Wyatt became temperamental, impulsive, and withdrew from his family.
Somehow there was a switch where it just, bad decisions started getting made one after the other.
Now, living in Tennessee, the Bramwells hope Wyatt's story alerts other parents to warning signs of CTE.
It angers me because I wasn't given the opportunity to help him.
But knowing nothing will ever fill the hole that losing Wyatt left in their hearts.
I haven't found peace yet, but I'm sure it will come at some point. At least I have faith it will.
Another thing for parents to note, Wyatt didn't play in the trenches as a lineman, getting hit on every snap of the ball. He played wide receiver and defensive back. The Bramwells urge parents with children playing contact sports to talk to them about their mental health, especially when their seasons are over. If you or someone you know are experiencing thoughts of suicide, contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling, texting, or chatting 988. Up next, tweens and teens are now major consumers of skincare products, but some ingredients are not good for young skin. We share what to look for after the break. Tween skincare is exploding as fresh young faces flock to stores like Sephora and Ulta, with girls as young as 8 scooping up expensive, trending products advertised by social media influencers. Reporter Jen Pachano has the important ingredients parents need to look for.
We are rapidly seeing younger and younger patients coming in asking what skincare products they should be using.
Jess Larkin, a medical aesthetic nurse with Apex Dermatology, says this time last year they were seeing next to nothing when it came to an interest or demand for skincare among tweens. But she says these young girls are seeing skincare routines shared on social media, influencers spreading recommendations like wildfire, adding products to their vanities like status symbols.
I'm interested because, my friends have a lot of it, and it's kind of just fun to use skincare.
You, feel so cool doing it, and then they want to go shopping at, Sephora or Ulta or whatever it may be, to check out new products all the time.
They really do want to be using as many products as they possibly can without even knowing what ingredients are in each one of them.
They're going after the brand name. They're not approaching it the way an adult would, where they're saying, here's my skincare concerns, so here's then the products they need. They're like, no, this one's cool, this one's cool, this one's a pretty bottle.
Like Drunk Elephant and stuff. It's really expensive.
Where did you hear about that?
My other friends.
Ruth Barnum and Lara Claxton have 3 tween daughters between them. They're overwhelmed at the price of these new must-haves and the time it takes to investigate them.
When you learn about the new brands that I've never heard of before, and then it's like a whole Google project to see, is it safe, is it how much does it cost, where do I get it, should we be using it in the first place?
Me and my mom were talking last night, and I was like, hey, there's this bubble toner that I want, and she's like, oh gosh, you don't need that at your age.
I'm like, we're not spending more on your skin than mine right now.
Larkin says a lot of these trendy products have aggressive acids in them. They're intended for more mature skin to increase cell turnover and exfoliation, something young skin doesn't need.
It could be very damaging. It could cause skin barrier disruption, which can lead to rashes, irritation, acne, blemishes, and it really could lead to long-term signs of aging from this overexfoliation that a lot of tweens are doing without even knowing.
When you examine the labels of these skincare products, here's what parents need to look out for. Tweens should avoid retinols, anything anti-aging, antioxidants, salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, and ingredients like lactic acid, and anything that says exfoliating should be avoided unless a skin specialist deems it necessary. Larkin says what she'd like to see pushed on these social media videos is the basic for tweens, like a cleanser, a moisturizer if necessary, and most importantly, every day a sunscreen to prevent damage.
The goal should be they don't need all of these expensive products that they might consider in the future.
These parents agree there is a silver lining to this new tween skincare craze.
It's teaching them to get on a regimen, which, some adults you still have to put on a regimen.
Yeah.
They don't know how to take care of their skin. Things like wearing sunscreen is great, and then maybe she can not deal with some of the stuff that I deal with at this age.
Coming up, when you think of kids and technology, exercise likely isn't the first thing that comes to mind, but one school has implemented a new immersive program that allows children to exercise and learn at the same time. When you think of PE in elementary school, kids running around the playground probably comes to mind. But Jason Berry found a Phoenix campus where they're doing things a little differently.
Bright lights, music, a giant video wall. What looks like a school dance is really just another PE class over at Desert Shadows Elementary School in Phoenix.
All right, get up, let's go, get up, get up, get up.
Coach Richard Shannon tells us the school's PTA recently donated this all-new high-tech teaching tool.
Get that forward, yeah, buddy!
Called the Lou Interactive System. It's an immersive educational program that allows children to exercise and learn at the same time.
It makes physical activity not just about moving your body, but also about learning. And if we can help those homeroom teachers get the kids engaged in another way, that's just fantastic.
Desert Shadows is the first school in the valley to use the Lou system that costs around $50,000 and has about 50 different programs. Students can move along with a virtual dance troupe, throw balls at the wall to answer math problems, or run relays to answer geography questions and follow ships across the sea.
It brings really everybody together, and it's so fun and enjoyable. I think it makes everybody happy.
Every time I come back from PE, everybody's just asking me what we did in the Lou and like everything, and they're like, what are we gonna do?
The Lou system is able to process the movements of students in real time and provide immediate feedback, encouraging teamwork. Coach Shannon says it's done wonders getting students who don't love PE excited about coming to class.
I can ask kids to do push-ups, to do burpees, to do jumping jacks, and they might be engaged, but man, you put this music on, you put a timer on them, you make it a little bit of a challenge, and this gets them just fired up.
The new technology has not entirely replaced outdoor activity, but it has been worked into the physical ed program.
Get on up.
The only problem is students wish PE class lasted a little longer.
It's been nothing but positive. As you can tell from the time with the kids, they have absolutely had a blast playing it. It's just great to be able to bring something cutting edge 21st century into our school, and something that's very unique to our school as well.
And that's it for us. Thanks for joining us here on Investigate TV Plus Weekend. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.